Hey, Beat Baseball World! Welcome back to the Beatball Blues Show, where we have a whole bunch of stuff to be getting into. So we will be doing that soon. But first, I got to bring in my partner here with me, Neil the AWG is Bam Bam.
What you almost forgot to mention your own name, Neil Dog. You're progressing, man. You're progressing.
I've actually done that before. Like I've introduced you and not said my own name. Like I don't know.
Dude.
In the end, who cares?
We all know if people don't know who you are by the time they click onto the show, Neil Dog, then
I don't think they're tuning in for us because with the shows when it's just you and I, do not get a lot of views.
Well, you see, if we were able to build up, a more controversial show between when it was just us, then I think we'd get more views or whatever. But the controversy only pops off when there are guests on the show. So
you know what? You may make an excellent point there because when you first started, I was like, but I started to shake it off. But our episode last year after the World Series, when we had our whole little thing, Corey didn't show up, and we did the episode without him. I think that is the show that has had the most views we've ever done. I mean, part of that's got to be because that was a recap from the World Series, and but I don't think that's all of it.
people like controversy.
That is,
that people like controversy, man.
And one of those that starts a lot of it is our guest today. Not here as a gateway archer, but as the TBBS insider, Demo. What up, Demetrius?
What up, Neil? What up, Seth? And when you were introducing your co-host, I almost jumped in and said, "Hey, what's up?" Because I've been on the show so many times. I wanted to jump in as I was the co-host.
Plus, since I know you follow the show, you know how quickly Seth will jump on you for speaking before being introduced. His pet peeve.
I didn't know you were here as, or you weren't here as as a gateway archer. You weren't officially holding that title that day, because I was definitely going to ask you about all that trash talking that your team did on on Neil and I our show a couple of weeks ago, and then the fact that the comments just flattened you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to get a comment on that. But since you're not here as a gateway archer correspondent, we'll let you go, and perhaps Chad Dillon will come on and explain.
Before he answers, I just want to say you aren't the only one that didn't know that. I just threw that out there. He didn't know that he was here as a TBBS insider. But go ahead.
I was going to say, as an insider and as an archer, I'm always representing the archers. So if you got any questions or anything you want to talk about as far as archers go, I'm definitely willing to answer. So
okay, well, cool. Because I woke up Saturday morning, I was like, hell, man, this is the big game, man.
Showdown.
This is a big game, and you know me, I'm always a little bit late. So I click on second inning, and it's already 8-0, man. I'm like, the game's over, man. Right, 15 minutes into the game, and it's already over, man. What's up with that? What happened? Tell me what happened.
We got off to a slow start. Like you said, it was 8-0. I thought it was 9-0 after 2. It could have been 8-0.
Oh, okay. Who counts once it gets like that?
Yeah. And we were definitely in shock. We didn't expect for it to go that way.
I have a phrase: overconfidence is a killer.
Well,
but go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know what Mike Tyson says: everybody got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. So.
Yeah, right.
That's how you respond to getting punched in the mouth.
Yeah. And I liked our response. We couldn't keep it going. It was 8 or 9-0, whatever it was, and then we put up 6 runs in an inning. And thought we were coming back into it, but Chicago was able to put up at least 2 runs every inning after that, and able to keep their lead and even increase it. And the bats weren't there. It was probably our worst defensive game of the weekend. Even after that game, we switched up our defense. We start running a different defense that we had been talking about switching to after the first Indy tournament, and the middle of this tournament we decided to switch to it because Chicago was hitting us where we weren't in that defense that we were running, so we switched it up after that game. But hands off to Chicago. They came out to play. They wanted the game just as bad as we wanted it because of all the talk. Chad Perry pitched a good game. Their batters were on point. The 3 strikes didn't affect them. Hands down to Chicago. They're a good organization.
Even the black turtle came in there, got put out
there. She did not get me though. I'd like to put this on the record. She did not put me out. She did not put me
out. Did your team come out of the tournament? Like, are you guys feeling one way or the other on the 3 strike possibility? The possibility of changing that rule?
I mean, some of us are for it, some of us aren't. As a team consensus, it's split, I think.
It seems to be that way. Like even with the Thunder, like Darnell pushes for it real hard, but I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think Jared Woodard's in favor of it from what I've read. You know what I mean? It just seems to be. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think Jared's for it, but okay. I could be wrong.
Right. I thought he wrote something up that made me feel like he. I don't know. I did just whatever. My feeling from when I remember reading it, I thought he was saying it when he didn't think it would be a good thing. I guess I have that wrong.
Me personally, I'm for it. If you take my personal stats from the Georgia tournament and this tournament, both 3 strikes tournaments, I had 4 strikeouts in Georgia and 2 strikeouts this past weekend. So me personally, I'm for it.
Out of how many?
I had 12 in Georgia to 4 Ks, and then this weekend I had 20 with 2 Ks.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably more this weekend. There were more games here, so
yeah.
It would seem I mean, I didn't see a lot of I only watched a handful of games, but I didn't see. I saw Mark Morris post earlier about there were a lot of strikeouts and that kind of slowing or whatever, kind of killing the game. I didn't notice that. I mean, to me, it seemed like the 3 strikes didn't really affect the game anyway. It didn't seem like it limits the score. It doesn't seem like it speeds it up. There doesn't seem to be, I mean, it seems to be, we can make the change so we look good like a normal baseball league or whatever, but it doesn't seem to affect the game very much.
And I think if we implement any of the changes that people have been throwing out there, versus whether it's 3 strikes or lengthening the base path or going to 7 defenders, the lower teams are going to struggle with the change. If you go to 3 strikes, they're going to strike out more. You lengthen the base path, so they don't have the fastest runners. You go to 7 defenders, so now you got another defender to put out the balls that they might get through 6 defenders. So,
yeah, and I brought that up on our last show. Like every time, as I was playing when we switched from 2 balls and 5 strikes to 1 and 4. I was playing when went from 90 to 100 feet bases. It's like it's kind of that same thing for every rule change. The upper echelon teams are ready to absorb it and move on, and the lower teams, it's just going to make it more difficult for them. But I don't think there's any way to change rules to where the discrepancy between our top teams and our bottom teams is so much. I don't think there's any way we could change rules without it affecting, without it having that kind of effect. I read that same post that was in Beatball Central, and I had the same reaction as you, Seth, because like I was telling Demetrius before we started recording, man, the whole day, Saturday and Sunday, I had my iPad and my iPhone on different games. And then when they had the games on TV, I had that going on my Fire TV or whatever. So I had 3 games at times going. So I honestly couldn't tell you who was striking out more, whatever. But I had the same response as you, Seth, at the end of the tournament. It's like, man, the scores seem about the same. I don't remember a lot of teams like striking out to where it made me think, oh, the 3 strike rule's killing them.
Right.
But listening to multiple games, I can't just I'm not locked in on exactly what's going on. So, but I was kind of surprised to see Mark's post, only because I didn't feel that coming out of the tournament.
No, I didn't see it.
I don't want to poo-poo on the teams that they played, but we played the Titans on Sunday and we got 3 putouts, so they had 15 Ks in that game. So it could be something with the teams that Mark was playing where that they were striking out. But in our bracket with us, Atlanta, Chicago, and the Thunder, there was balls put in play. We weren't striking out like that.
Excuse me. Yeah, the Edge were in a bracket with 2 teams that weren't even going to the World Series or whatever. So
yeah,
I don't know I don't know what effect that necessarily had, but man. So let's talk about the tournament as a whole. And I think I don't know. Most people know a lot about what happened this weekend as far as the games go. I think we gotta give our boy Jared Woodard some love. The dude, I assume you've seen this, Seth, but Jared ended up with a broken jaw coming out of this weekend. Man, and I got love for Jared. I want him to be all right, but I gotta say it's a little surprising with all the monsters that guy has pitched to. Little Adam Rodebeck's the one that knocks him out of the game, man.
Jared's old. He's getting older. You got a kid. Kind of got that dad bod going on. The reflexes aren't so strong anymore.
I would think chasing a toddler around his reflex is probably better right now, but what do I know? I've never.
Hey, Neil.
Yeah.
Clearly not.
Clearly, Jared's my boy. Jared's my boy, and I texted him last night, and he got back to me. I was like, "Well, I'm sorry about your job, but at least we know you can take a punch. You're not just a pretty boy."
So,
yeah, this guy wanted to pitch. They told him whoever checked him out. The big concern, for everybody who wasn't right there talking to the medical people or whoever was looking at, was concussion protocol, and he passed that. So everybody's like, well, if he wants to pitch, let him pitch. He passed concussion protocol, but their concern was if he got hit again, doing further damage, not knowing his jaw was broken. That guy went and caught for Jerry Wendell once he was done bleeding. They had a hard time getting the bleeding to stop. I don't know where he was bleeding from, but knocked his teeth back or whatever. He took quite a shot. But the dude was caught for Jerry Wendell with a broken jaw, man.
I guess I did notice that Jerry had a few Ks going.
I don't think Jerry has pitched probably in 30 years, not in a game. He didn't pitch very long. I think by 92 he was done as a pitcher. So I don't think he ever planned on it. We might as well talk about that. For one, because here I am, I've got 3 devices going, listening to games. Maybe at that time only 2. I don't even know. But Darnell was doing the TV games. He was the color man. Not the colored man, but the color man, the color analyst.
Technically, he was both.
I just protected my own assets.
Good. Controversy is good for the show, Neil.
But he's their backup pitcher, which gives us 2 things here to talk about. One, I was expecting them to go just pull him, forgetting Jerry Wendell was there on the sideline and he's got experience pitching. I thought they were going to go pull Darnell out of the TV booth right in the middle of the game between the Edge and the Chaos. But they didn't.
Oh, Darnell loves pitching, man. But Darnell loves hearing him some Darnell more, boy.
Like I said. But here's something that I started tripping on last night before I went to sleep. Darnell is technically their backup pitcher, and it does not look like Jared has any chance of pitching the World Series. Safety wise, I can't imagine that being the case. And Darnell's the first vice president. Now, it's not unprecedented. Kevin Simpson was the first vice president in the early 2000s, and he pitched for Austin. But back then, the tournament was ran different. Like the local groups really ran the tournaments back then, where it switched to where the tournament director, the MBBA, now really runs the tournament. So, and with everything he's going through, like, with the league or whatever, do you see it possible that he pitches for the Thunder when he's also acting as the first VP? Anybody?
I mean, in the end, I mean, if it's between Jerry Wendell and Darnell Booker, I think Darnell Booker is going to get up there or whatever. But I would imagine that he's sitting down right now, going through his mental Rolodex, trying to figure out who they could pull on to be a pitcher or whatever.
I know before the whole Jerry thing, even when Booker was just, coach or GM of the Thunder, he was still, I think he was still, I don't want to speak for Booker, but I think he was still planning on, being with the Thunder as the first VP.
Yeah, until called upon.
Yeah.
And in the end, like, if everything's in place, and the first VP now has, I don't know if they have 2 assistants every year, but I think they do.
Yes, 2 this year, for sure.
Yeah, so 2 assistants, and I mean, there's very little that goes on where the first VP has to be, right there front and center while the games are being played. Most of that stuff, you got volunteers in place and assistants doing their job. Most of that stuff should fall into place pretty easily. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
That's the Johnny Walker took one in the face at the World Series in 2010, I want to say 2011, and ever since then he's been wearing a mask. So maybe Jared should think about it.
I've seen saw Tim Hibner get hit in the face too.
I've seen Tim Hibner get knocked out cold. But 10 minutes later.
I was surprised that, and it always had surprised me that nobody ever broke anything, like a nose or an eye socket, teeth, the jaw, or whatever. So I was very surprised to see that. I just kind of figured that it didn't happen, but I don't know. I don't know. He must have turned his head the wrong way or something.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like most people, if you get in the face, is frontal face. Like he must have turned his head and got caught in the jaw.
All right, just a bad one. Just a bad one. A bad one. Bad.
You know what else it made me think of though, Seth? That involves you and I. Yeah, way back when Jared Woodard became a pitcher. And he was pitching for the Chicago Bluffs team his dad was playing for. Excuse me. He wasn't there. Like, he didn't pitch to the whole lineup. But you and I were board members. We were looking at this, like, 11-year-old pitching to grown-ups. And we're like, look, as a board, should we do something to protect ourselves? Should we have Jared wear a mask and some other protection to protect him? And it's not like people thought we were idiots, but it started a slippery slope. This is literally the day before the World Series is starting, and we were going down a slippery slope. Like the Tyler Tigers had a whole bunch of minors on their team. It's like, all right, where do we stop? Like, is everybody under 18 go wear a mask and extra? We can't single out Jared, although with it being 20 feet from home plate, throwing a 1-pound rock, we could. Yeah. But imagine, because we didn't take any extra protection. Imagine if he got hit like that then. How's that look in court? Wait a minute. You guys, as a league, that it's okay for this little 11-year-old to stand 20 feet away from grown-ups.
From grown men, from grown people. Made no freaking sense to me.
If you look at like high school and middle school softball and baseball, like around here in Minnesota, the pitcher has to wear a mask, has to wear a face mask. Even some of the infielders have to wear a face mask. So
Wow.
and we're
I
and we're
haven't heard of
talking.
that, like in any state. I mean, I'm not surprised by it, but I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah,
sense.
you have to wear a mask.
Makes sense.
I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Jared's first actually World Series game he pitched was against the Rocky Mountain Eagles in 2003, my first year.
All right. I know we played them, I think in the round robin or like to start the second day of play. I know we played against them in that tournament.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think we were all in the same bracket because we played you guys first and you beat us 21-0. My worst defeat ever in beat ball. My first game. I kind of didn't want to play after that. No.
Wow. It's funny you
No.
brought that up to me before, but I don't even remember that. I know that we hung 2 or 3 donuts on teams, like in the late night. Or I don't know. I guess that was in the early 2000s. I remember us shutting out like 2 or 3 teams because it's a big. You didn't see shutouts in beat ball, especially just coming out of the 90-foot base era or whatever. So. But I couldn't have told. I still couldn't tell you who the other teams are that we shut out. I don't know. I just don't remember scores of games very well.
They all blend in.
Blend, yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Let's jump into this Bonanza tournament that just finished up. Let's just like run down how the games played out. See if anything jumps out specific to talk about. I go down to round 1. The Atlanta Chaos beating the Thunder 13-11. That was kind of, I don't know, not a shocker right out of the gate.
No, it was a shocker. It was a shocker. It was a shocker to our sideline. You're like, what? When Richie came over and told us, like, what? The Chaos beat the Thunder? Like, the Thunder coming just off the Edge tournament in May, and they didn't have G this tournament, but they put up 20 runs a couple times in that Edge tournament.
I'm sorry, they didn't have who?
Gerald Dykes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
G.
Yeah, okay.
And he was MVP of that tournament, but
No, they put a 23 spot on the Edge defense and Jared had 7 strikeouts in that game. So yeah. I mean, obviously they're still capable, but I mean, just from my own rankings, like every team in that bracket I had between like 5 and 10 or whatever. So I guess I guess I felt like any of those teams could have beat each other, which is what happened throughout the day in the bracket. So Chicago Comets 17, Gateway Archers 11, which we have covered already. On the other side, you had the Indy Edge 14-3 over the Titans. I don't know if that was a run roll.
Hey, good thing you guys didn't drive 3 hours to get your ass whooped like that, boy.
It's only an hour and a half for us. It's 3 hours for them. But we'll see them again in the second weekend in July in Champaign. So
the Austin Blackhawks finishing off the first round of games beat Cleveland 6-2, which for me, having Austin so high on my list, I was a little disappointed. I thought their output should have been.
I figured you just put Austin up at second to generate buzz.
I didn't do anything to generate anything. I mean, we shouldn't do it right in the middle of this recap, but I'll be happy. I meant to kind of address that at the beginning. But any question before we close out? Any questions you guys have about my top 10? I'm happy to answer.
I wasn't a question, just a statement.
I did nothing to generate buzz. I can explain anything that I did and why I did it. And that's just my starting ranking. But I mean, it's not. No part of me expects that to be the outcome at the World Series.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like with the 90-year-old pitcher, they ain't finishing second. Love you, Tim. Love you, Timmy.
He's younger than Johnny Walker. Not a lot, but he's younger than Johnny Walker. And Nick Lopez.
You don't see me putting the comments.
I think so. How old is Johnny's? Over 70, right?
No, Walker's 68.
Oh, my bad. They're about the same. I think I can't remember. I never remember how much. I think Tim's only like a little more than 10 years older than me. Well, I'm forgetting I'm about to be 54. So,
Uh,
in like 2 weeks, I'll be 54. So, Tim's
I have
like,
no
yeah,
idea how
Tim's
old he is.
65 ish.
All right, all
I
right,
think
Okay.
he's right around 10 years older than me. I'm
all
not
right.
positive. All right, round two in bracket A. The Atlanta Chaos with another win, 11-8 over the Comets. That was a turning game right there for that bracket. The the Chaos were down to their last out. They're the away team in the top of the sixth. They're down 7-6 with 2 outs in the top of the sixth, and they knocked out 5 straight runs to take that lead, and Chicago never bounced back. So that was a key game towards Atlanta getting to the title game, which we'll
I,
get to later. Go
I've
ahead.
been on that. I've been on that side against the chaos. They've done that. They did that to us in Georgia. We went to the top of the sixth up by 2, and they banged out 6 runs and won by 3.
We've all been there, like beat ball wise, like with every hit being a run or an out. Like it's so crucial. Like errors in beat ball cost you so much because you could be down to like 2 outs, not maybe just giving up 1 run in the inning, and you have an error on defense, and then they go on a run and score 5-6 legitimate runs. It's like, man, the floodgates can kill you sometimes. The Indy Thunder 9, Archers 5. What happened to you guys with the Thunder in that game, Demo?
So that game we
More excuses, more excuses.
no
Oh,
no
I'm sorry.
no
He just
no
sounded like he was teeing up more excuses. Man.
no.
I'm
So
sorry. Go ahead, Demo.
we went to we switched up the defense. It was a process.
It didn't seem like the defense was the problem. Let me stop.
Well, I mean,
Let me stop. Let me stop. I'm muting myself. Go ahead.
we switched up
Let
the
me ask
defense.
you though, was the
Uh-huh.
switch up like planned ahead of time, or was that something? You know what I mean? Did you
No,
guys have like different things you were planning to look at throughout the tournament, or?
well, so like I said, we have been talking about it since the Edge tournament, but we just haven't had enough practices in between to fully implement everybody because
Well, can I
people
ask
with
what is this? What's the switch you did?
oh so I mean it wasn't a huge switch. So we had 2 front guys, 2 middle guys, 2 deep guys. But our middle guys, we had 1 straight up to 6, and then our other middle
Right, if
guy.
you could try, because everybody uses different
Okay,
zones.
yeah,
Try to use
okay,
fields if you could.
okay. So
Helping us, Seth and I included.
yeah, so we had 2 straight guys, left and right, and then we had a middle person right up the middle, and then we had another guy on the second level, and on the third base side, close to third base.
All right.
And then we had 2 third level guys, 2 deep guys, kind of pinch in the middle, offset from that middle person. So if you know anything about the S defense, what they ran last year, which is now what they're running this year, it was that defense. And so our right field was our closest guy to the line was the short right
Yeah,
guy.
I was gonna say with you pinching, because you said both the deep people were pinching
Yeah,
towards the
yeah,
middle, so they've
yeah.
got a long ways to go. Anything
Yes,
hit deep down the
yes,
line,
yes,
long ways
exactly.
to go.
Exactly. So we were running that defense against Chicago, and it was hurting us because they were going up the middle and to right field. Like I was playing the wing on the line close to third base, and I literally stood there the whole game. Like I didn't have any plays come over that way. They weren't pulling it; they were going the other way and up the middle. Um, so we switched up to moving our middle guys to pinch the middle. So now we got a right and left middle guy closer to the middle of the field versus having that guy close to third base. And then we moved our deep guys closer to the line than versus having them pinch the middle.
So the end result, how did you guys feel coming out of it? Should you have stayed with your original defense? Or?
No, we like the new defense. That's what we're going to run going forward.
All right, let's go to bracket B. Keep moving along. Austin Blackhawks stepped up, made me look a little better, defeating the Scrappers 14-2. Is that right? Oh, yeah. The New Jersey Titans 14-2 over the Titans. And the Edge beat the Scrappers 14-1. And that rounded out the second group of games. Coming to the final games on Saturday. The Thunder beat the Comets 15-8. That was I was listening to that game. I thought I expected the Comets to give them a better fight. The Gateway Archers 10-6 over the Chaos, man. After the Archers struggle in the first two games, and Chaos, they're the hot team knocking everybody down. You guys came out of nowhere and knocked them down 10-6. Like I said, I felt going in that everybody in that bracket capable of beating each other. But that, by the way, the first two rounds went, that was not an outcome I expected, man. What did you guys do to turn it around on them?
Going back to the defense, like even so, when we switched the defense, we were still off of what what Colorado's play, what the Thunder play, what the Jets play. You know, that 2-2-2. We were off on our zones, so we moved. Even in that game, we moved our zones, and that helped, especially in the middle. No, I had to my own horn. I had a couple big putouts in deep left.
Nice.
And we were able to generate more offense.
Yeah, I was just in that game. That's the thing
better quality hits.
That's the thing I noticed about that game is like Johnny Walker finally started clicking. You got, and who could have expected it? Walker hasn't been with the team hardly at all, you know, right. And he's out there pitching in a tournament. So you guys were struggling to get it going early on, but that last game, it seemed like you guys were really connecting with Walker.
Yeah, and speaking of Walker, he's officially an Archer for the rest of the season, so he'll be in Champaign and he'll be in Beaumont. So
I thought that was the case already. I mean, good for you guys, but I thought that was a lock already.
In my head, it was, but you know, we wanted to see how this weekend went. But yeah, it's official now.
Fair enough. The other game in that bracket, or no, I guess we closed out that bracket. In bracket B, the Edge. Well, actually, let me say the other game first. The Cleveland Scrappers, which was kind of a surprise to me, defeated the New Jersey Titans 6-4. And again, those are the only two teams out of the whole tournament that are not going to be at the World Series. But the Titans were finished 5th or 6th last year, so I know they've lost some players. It's not the same Titans team right now, but I was surprised to see them lose that game. In the other game, to me, going into the whole tournament, this was the most intriguing game, the Edge and the Blackhawks. And it just the final score was 21-6. I don't believe the Edge ever put them in the run rule, but they jumped on it. It was like 6-0 right out of the gates, and like 11-1, and I don't know, the whole time Austin was just chasing, which in the end, to be honest with you, is what I think it's going to be this season. My own personal belief is the Edge is just too stacked, and I know there are a lot of critics out there that are like, oh, it'll be on Kyle Kennedy if they don't win the whole thing. And I mean, it could come down to that. But all Kyle has to do is what he's been doing for the last 5, 6, 7 years, 6 years, and they're going to be fine because their talent level, in my opinion, is that much further ahead of the rest of the field. Kyle hasn't been like the top 2 or 3 pitcher at this point in his career, but he's always like in that 4 to 8 range, I believe. He's always around 80%. 80% with this team, 80 if he does better than that, they're just gonna roll through people. They don't need Kyle to be a Hall of Famer.
No
talent level.
No, and I've said the same thing. I'm like, if you take this roster and put any, and I said top 10, but any top 8 pitcher on that team, and they should win.
Listen, Seth and I have won a championship with a pitcher that had less than 70% contact. You know what I mean? And Kyle's a lot better pitcher than Brian Doris ever was, and we were able to roll and win a championship with Brian Doris. I don't see them having any problem. The only team that could beat the Edge is the Edge, in my opinion. Everybody else is playing for second this year, unless something changed dramatically. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I hope we get this Jets Edge championship this coming weekend in Bolingbrook to see how the Jets fare against them, because that would be, to me right now, the only team that could challenge them.
In my ranking, I had the Jets and Houston or at Bayou City down lower, but that's just because I need to see more of their product. I believe the Jets are the second most talented team, just out of pure talent. I believe they're the second most talented roster, and I believe the Heat, in my opinion, is the third most talented roster. I don't have them high on my ranking yet because of especially the Jets. I mean, they've lost more than Kevin. Demo U and Richie Flores aren't there anymore, taken away from some of the depth that they had. And I didn't feel before like they're the deepest team in the league. They have a really solid roster. The trio of David Smith and Zach Arambla and Axel Cox. Those are 3 fabulous, b-ball players. So they've got and Little Meat, Little Ricky is turning into a great defensive player. So like they've got a lot of talent, but they've lost Kevin. They've lost half of their spotting, which had been a problem, over the years, like their constant change at spotting. They finally got a great spotting team, and that's changed. It may all come together for them. But I feel justified in not believing that they're going to be the best they can be right away. There's too many pieces in motion right now, I think.
Well, I know they're getting Will Lopez back. He's a stud. He wasn't there last year. He was there in 2019 and the previous years. He's a stud offensive player, and his defense was coming around. And he'll be in Bolingbrook. I know they're also getting Renee Almanza, Aaron's brother, back. I'm not sure if he's going to Bolingbrook or not. But he'll be at the World Series. So, they got those 2 guys to replace myself and Richie. And yeah, they lost Sarah and of course, Kevin. So yeah, I'm curious to see what they do this weekend, and if things go according to what I think they'll go, we'll get to see, like I said, that Jets Edge game on Sunday, and then with Bayou City and Edge being in the same bracket, we'll see the Edge Bayou City game on Saturday. Yeah. So
now that's why I wanted to get my own personal rankings out before these tournaments play, because I expect it to change after. I want to see these teams like Bayou City. Like, I love all the people they were throwing together. And they looked really good in Atlanta, but that was it's a small sample size, in a small tournament. But I want to see it work. They have an edge to me over the Jets right now because of Fonzie, but the downside to them is I don't know how quickly they'll pull their defense together. And if they can't make all those pieces work as a really good unit on defense, I'm not saying they can't, but until I see it, I'm not going to give them credit for being a done, finished product. So until I see it work, I have concerns about them pulling it together on defense and beating a team, Thursday, Friday of the tournament, like winning that late. A lot of times comes down to like, how good you guys are, how good any unit is a defense. I don't know. See how it all plays out. Let's finish out the games and talk about the who made the all tournament teams. So in the placement games, seventh place, the Archers played the Titans, beat them 11-4. Did I say that right? Yeah, 11-4. Fifth place was the Chicago Comets, defeating the Cleveland Scrappers 13-4. Austin defeated the Thunder 9-8. That was the game that Jared got hurt in. Jerry, they were down like 9-5 late, and Jerry and the Thunder did make a little run. After Jared got hurt, Tim didn't pitch any further in that game. Molly Fleming came in, and I don't know if that was planned ahead of time or if it was a decision they made after Jared got hurt. But Money Molly finished that game. I love me the Flemings. I'm a big fan of Molly as a spotter, but also their coach Jono. Man, I don't think teams should let their head coaches do play-by-play on the streams. Anytime something went bad, you hear ready, pitch, boom, shit. Excuse me. So I enjoyed listening to Jono, but it might be a good idea for teams not to put the head coach on the play-by-play.
I haven't had a chance to go back and watch the game, but somebody told me right after Adam took Jared out, the very next pitch he hit Jerry.
I don't know if it was the very next pitch, but it was in that at bat, and he only hit him like on the foot. No, in the same at bat when Adam came up. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know if it was the first pitch, but it was once they got the game back up going, and Adam goes up and Jerry's pitching to him in that at bat. He did hit him on the foot or whatever. It wasn't nearly like the same dramatic, but
gotcha.
And then the championship game, the Edge over the Chaos, 21-6, and that was not a game that like will move the Chaos up real high on my thing because they took it on the chin like everybody else that's faced the Edge, outside of the Thunder, I guess, really, because again the Thunder, they were behind the whole time chasing them, but the Thunder, they never got run rolled in that game either, but. For the all tournament teams, I do props to that. I'm kind of poo-pooed all over the Chaos right there. Like I think the Chaos played really good this weekend. Outside of really the game against the Archers, they had a good turn. And I don't know. I guess I'm still kind of poo-pooing them or the Archers because the Archers had a really solid game against them in that game. So. And Atlanta had a really good showing. Richie told me he's going to try to make my rankings look bad, and for the most part, I guess the Chaos kind of did that. On the all-tournament team, offensively, so there have been some conflicting reports. We're just going to give you the best that we have. Teams have had some reports of like some stats not being given credit for, mostly on defense that we've heard so far. And it's understandable. I mean, everybody's scrambling at the end of the tournament to go home and everything. So if some mistakes were made, it's not a big surprise. But this is what we have so far. On the offensive side, Daniel Brock, a rookie for the Austin Blackhawks, hit like 643. Nick Mulheron and Corian White of the Indy Edge both went 14-20, hitting 700. Mark Morris of the Edge, 12 of 17. Adam Rodenbeck, the Jared Woodard killer. This guy, man, he was the best man in Jared's wedding. Look, go hurting a man like that. But Adam went 13 of 17. In the offensive MVP, Aaron C. hit 800 for the tournament. Big Aaron C. On the defensive side, and again, this is where some of the numbers we're not positive who all is in and out for sure. The Thunder, for one, I never knew or didn't pay attention to Inkram's name. I thought his name was Ikram. Ikram. I thought his name was Ikram because that's all anybody calls him, but his name's Muhammad Ikram. Congrats to Muhammad. Came in on the defensive side with 8 putouts. Darius Sterling, the Austin Blackhawks report that he had 10 putouts. I haven't heard that disputed. Plus, you said somebody from Cleveland also?
Yeah, Christian Keeley, Cleveland saying Christian Keeley had 10 putouts also.
All right. Richie Flores of the Chaos comes in with 11. Alex Gamino, am I saying his last name right?
Yeah, from the Comets. Yeah,
from the Comets. Yeah, came in with. I don't have the numbers for some of these. I think so. Go
ahead. He was tied with 12. There was a 3-way tie with 12.
He and James Michaels both had 12.
Yeah,
because there was
him. It was him, James Michael, and I want to say there was one more person. I think that was a 3-way. Maybe not. Yeah. There you go. Zach Turner. Yep.
I hadn't gone far enough down the list yet. I had all 3 of them, and I knew no, that wasn't on you. I just hadn't gone down. I had all 3 of them. I knew they all 3 tied. I didn't know what the number was. And then your boy, Rich Crussell, comes in with the defensive MVP, 21 putouts. Where you guys have? Is he playing short for you?
Yeah, short left. Yeah, and I can't remember if it was a Chaos game or a Thunder game, but he had like 10 or 11 in that game alone. So.
Again, listening to so many games at once, I didn't know who was. I was happy when I knew the score of each game. Sometimes I was trying to think ahead of time, like who it like in the middle games. On Saturday. I was trying to think like who needed to beat who to be in the championship game, and it's like I'm sitting there listening to the games and I couldn't keep the team straight in my head. Man, I was a confused old man. Nick Mulhern, go ahead.
No, I was gonna we were shocked. We knew Richie had 20 putouts going into a Sunday, and he only got 1 in the Titans game, and we're like, man, well, you were gonna make the All-Star team into this Titans game, but yeah, when he came out as MVP. We were pleasantly surprised.
Something they do with the this beat ball bonanza is they have the all-tourney teams for offense and defense, but they also give away an overall MVP, and that went to Nick Mulhern, who made the offensive team was close on the defensive team from what we understand. But Nick continuing on his, he had a great year as a 2-way player last year, and he seems to be continuing on that. Real quick from you, because Ethan Johnston hasn't been with you guys. Where will he play on defense, do you think, when he's with you?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't. When we practice, he's played short and he's played middle.
All right.
So
he'll be at both.
When we go to Champaign in July, we'll have everybody there. Walker will be there. Ethan will be there. We have full boat. So judge us on that tournament. Judge us on Champaign.
It should be noted that all these teams were missing somebody. In fact, we haven't mentioned it. Eric Rodriguez didn't. I don't know what the injury is. I hear he's out with an injury. I can't imagine it's a big deal because nobody's talking about it, but then maybe that's why they are not talking about it. It doesn't seem like anybody's concerned about him missing the tournament or anything. But Eric Rodriguez did not play. That was another kind of, to my points, like they rolled through this tournament this weekend, and they didn't even have the best player on the planet right now playing with them. So that Edge obviously is who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on that tournament before we bounce on that and highlight a couple other things real quick before we get out of here? Yes, no, maybe so. I started to point out all the teams were missing somebody. I got lost on just talking about Eric, but Gerald Dykes, I don't know if he played at all. I don't think he did. So the Thunder were missing their biggest bat. Austin was only there with 8 of their players. I don't, Gateway was missing players, Ethan that we know of. So nobody was there at full strength this weekend. But those are the games from this weekend.
Who's the lady who does the play-by-play?
For who?
For the chaos. She sent us the things.
Oh, Rosina Coleman.
I finally listened to her play-by-play. I just have one thing.
Wow.
It's great, but she uses points instead of runs.
I
don't know why.
I pointed that out last year when we talked about the game of the days on our show last year after the World Series. I was like, that's my only criticism. It just feels weird when you talk baseball. It's always runs, and not just Rosina, but when anybody says points instead of run, it throws my mind. Like, well, we talking basketball? I love listening to Rosina's play-by-play. I don't like playing on Facebook with my iPad or my iPhone that much. So I normally just, whatever game I find first, I pop on it because sometimes I can't even find the stupid games. So I actually never came across the Atlanta play-by-play. I didn't get to listen to Rosina this weekend, but I will hear a lot of her during the World Series. I know she's going to be out there again. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to give a shout out to the Philly Fire, New Jersey Titans, and the Long Island Bombers who played in a tournament like 2 weeks ago maybe. And I meant to highlight that when we did the show with Darnell. Wasn't like, that tournament doesn't matter. It just totally just slipped through the cracks, really. The Philly Fire dominated that tournament. They played really strong. So, interesting note to that tournament was that they played 8-inning games. All but one of the games were 8-inning games because it was originally supposed to be a 14 tournament with the Heat, and the Heat weren't able to go. So they trying to get everybody equal playing time to what they had expected, played 8-inning games. And shout out to Philly Fire's Johnny Marges and Gina Natoli, who have given birth to a beat ball baby, a true beat ball baby. Teammates hooking up to create beat ball players. Seth Alwitchi, think about that.
Well, is there a genetic thing? Or
no, I don't know if the baby's blind. It could be a pitcher. Maybe it could be a pitcher.
I was just saying, you were like,
no. I'm not indicating the baby's blind. Yeah. 2 beat ball players and been in a relationship for a while. Actually, when they were on our show like 1.5 years ago, that was kind of a new thing, and I was asked ahead of time not to mention it. So we never mentioned that they were a couple when they were on the show, but it's kind of hard to hide it now with them chucking a little baby under their arm. But congratulations to them. I hope they had a good healthy baby. I don't think we could call Johnny Ma anymore. That's Johnny Dad now. Johnny Dad.
Yeah, congrats to you guys. Congrats to you guys.
Big time. So coming up this coming weekend, Demetrius, the Gateway Archers aren't going to Bolingbrook, right?
Unfortunately, no, we're not.
I assume you're going to be around checking out all the games and on top of everything goes on.
Yeah, I won't be in Bolingbrook, but I'll be home checking out all the streams. Yeah. Right.
Well, let me extend the invitation for you to come help us recap that tournament. Give us the brackets of that tournament, if you could.
All right, so in bracket A, you got host team Chicago. You got the San Antonio Jets, the Austin Blackhawks, and the Cleveland Scrappers. And in bracket B, you have Bayou City Heat, Indy Edge, Indy Thunder, and the Minnesota Millers.
Bayou City, what time is it?
Overall,
play the Edge and see what you can do. What?
Are you still talking trash over there, Demo?
That was a good retort.
I've never finished lower than 7th with Johnny Walker and blah blah blah.
That was
Okay.
a good response on short notice right there. Snapback. Overall, that's a really balanced tournament. I think there's each bracket has two upper echelon teams, and two that aren't quite upper echelon in my opinion currently. That should be a really balanced tournament overall. But
he says the Thunder ain't even upper echelon anymore.
Well, I mean,
I was having a hard time keeping them there before. They're not there right now. I have other concerns with the Thunder going into the World Series. Like, in addition to everybody they've already lost before Jared got hurt, it doesn't look, in my opinion, like Kyle Lewis is going to be able to play. I mean, I heard him directly he's in surgery today on his knee.
I was going to say
shout out to him too. Sorry. Good luck to him on his recovery as well. Don't mean to ignore that. But, I mean, he's having surgery on his knee today, and that just gives him hope of playing in the World Series. And even if he is able to play, I assume it's just like a scope cleanup of some sort for him to maybe be able to play.
It's a meniscus he's having repaired.
All right.
And I'm no doctor, but, I'm a huge sports fan, and you hear meniscus, and you hear surgery, that's at least 6 to 8 weeks, so.
I don't remember what tournament it was, but Eric Mazariegos had to have his meniscus repaired 1 year in like May. And I think he was like our designated fielder that year at the World Series. It might have been, I don't remember what tournament it was. I mean, he not the whole time, but Eric was limited 3 months later. There's no way Kyle is 6 weeks from now. And even if he is, he's not able to like train and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not going to give them 4 days of all-star offense.
Yeah.
It's just not physically possible.
I checked the calendar this morning because I was talking to somebody about the Thunder with Kyle and Jared, and we are 7 weeks and 1 day from today away from playing ball in Beaumont. So,
yeah, I could be wrong, but I can't see any way that Jared's pitching in that. Like the possibility after, guys, I'm assuming he's going to get his jaw wired shut for a while, but like just how delicate that would be if it were to be hit again.
That's 6 weeks, with your mouth wired shut.
If he puts a football helmet on, he'd be fine.
Yeah, dude,
still going to be tender though. Still going to be tender.
Yeah,
but he won't get hit in it. Right.
He was willing to go back and pitch in that game. The only reason, like, they told me he would have to wear a mask, and he wouldn't wear the mask because it was too uncomfortable on his broken jaw or whatever. He was willing to go pitch. I'm glad he didn't. Oh man, it's crazy. All right, before we wrap up, because we'll be back recapping this tournament coming up. Any questions on my top 10 you guys want me to justify? Either of you.
You still got the Blackhawks number 2?
Yeah, well, you did explain it during the recap of the brackets. So I don't have any questions anymore. But Demo's question is a good one.
Well, I haven't changed. I have no plan of changing anything till at least after Bolingbrook. And isn't there like isn't the Beast of the East coming up shortly after that?
Yeah, the last weekend in June, and then the second weekend, and this part 2 is the second weekend.
Okay,
July.
yeah.
See, but you know what? I'll say this though. But even though you haven't seen the teams, it's not. You can't just be like, oh well, let's put Austin up there because they've had a good showing. They don't have the roster. They are older. Right, Tim is older. Right, it's very hard for a pitcher to go throughout the whole World Series. I mean, it's just a beast, right? And so to be like, oh well, Austin, I've seen more of them. That just seems
that isn't but that isn't why I put him there though. That's
what I heard you say is you hadn't seen the other teams.
And that's fair. All right, so I'll address all that. So for me, as I made my list to start like the season or whatever, I look at this season overall like a kind of a second place is completely up for grabs. Second and down is completely up for grabs because there are so many moving pieces right now. The Thunder have had a million changes. The Heat have had a million changes. The Philly Fire, the Jets. Every team we could talk about has had a lot of changes. So for me, going as the season starts, I feel like to start the season, Austin and Boston, because that's another team that I had up higher than anybody would have expected. Austin and Boston are the two most ready to take advantage of it, just because they've got, they're the coaching staff in place they've had for years. They've each lost some players going into this year. That's going to hurt them, but for the most part, their organization is I guess something we could count on. We know what they're going to come in with. So I feel like right now they have the best chance to take advantage of that. I don't expect both of them to be in the top three, 2 weeks from now or whatever. I'm not going to wait until the end of June. I'm going to re-rank my teams after the Bolingbrook tournament. I didn't know how quickly the Beast of the East was coming up after that. So I'll definitely be, shifting things after this Bolingbrook tournament. But just for me, and with Austin, I admit one area I was kind of careless with Austin is not like taking in their roster better as far as their losses. I had a conversation with somebody the night I let that out, my list out. They're like, man, I knew, like, obviously I knew they're not going to have Eric and Danny, but Eric and Danny are like, they're not the 30 or 40-year-old Eric and Danny that can help teams win championship right now. So I wasn't terribly worried about them losing them. But I mean, I guess they have some other, areas that I wasn't aware of that are kind of maybe in flex. That was told to me privately, so I don't, I'm not gonna like start throwing names out around. Whatever.
Let me ask you this:
Wow.
When was the last time that Austin finished in the top three?
Last year.
They were third last year.
Last year they finished third last year. So I'm not just totally out of my whack and thinking with all the teams between like second and seventh, like as far as on my list, all those teams being teams that have moving pieces going all over the place. I don't feel terrible thinking that they could still be right there. I honestly am more concerned about my Boston pick than I am the Austin pick.
To be fair, though, those fields last year fed right into what Austin does. Good defense. I suspect that the fields in Beaumont will be offensive fields, hard and fast.
So for me, it's really like, for me, the teams behind them, most specifically the Jets and the Heat. Like it was hard for me to put the Heat in the Fire so high when they finished 12th and 13th last year. You know what I mean? I know they got different pieces or whatever, but I haven't really seen it all in action yet. So the Heat, I think, has the best chance to challenge for the championship. But I want to see it happen first. I want to see them this weekend, see how those pieces all work together. The Jets, I already said, I think is the second most talented team. I have a hard time believing that Jeremy in his first year is going to have his best tournament. Or, you know what I mean? I know he knows what he's getting into. He's been part of their team, but that man hasn't pitched more than one day in a row yet. I have a hard time seeing them going deep.
That's my only concern with the Jets. I know they have the athletes. Like, absolutely. Even without Kevin, I'd say they're still the best team athlete-wise in Texas.
In the NBBA outside the Thunder. I mean, outside the Edge, in my opinion.
Exactly. So they got the athletes, they got the horses, and you're correct. Is Jerry going to be able to come out after Tuesday, after Wednesday, after Thursday? What's he going to do on Friday to get them to Saturday?
Listen, you have a bad game on Thursday, it changes everything.
You lose that first game on Thursday, you're playing 3 that day. So
So I don't know. So that's where I was coming from,
Uh,
you know. And listen, like my team, I was solid on 1 and 2. Uh, my 3 through 6 for like 3 days, I just kept flipping around. I had the Heat as high as third. I had the Jets as low as 6. But that part of me, that was because I thought I had reason to believe that one of their key players, not one of the big three, but one of their key players was not going to be with them this year. But I got confirmation that that's not the case. And I heard that news privately, so I'm not going to throw it out there. But when I thought that was the case, like man, there's no way they're with all the other changes, but. So I moved them up to fourth after finding out that I didn't have that information. That information had been accurate, was no longer accurate. So I moved them up to fourth. But I don't know. I
Wait,
felt
what team?
justified overall with the Jets.
Oh, I got you.
I had them, like I said, I had them until I got my information straight. I had them down at sixth before I let that roster out. I told Axel Cox that he's like, dude, you're silly. Don't post that. You're silly. I feel justified, but actually,
I think after
me out on their person.
I think after the Edge, clearly they're the favorite right now. After that, I think it's anyone's game.
Absolutely. No, this is the most, and I say that though we've all established that number one's pretty predictable. Outside of what we expect to be number one, the field is open from 2 to 7. I feel like it could be anybody's ball game, including your archers. Your archers can move up in there. I don't know how high, but I don't see the archers as a top 4 team, but I easily could see you guys getting in the top 6 with a good run.
I can see us sliding into the top 4. So, like I said, judge us on Champagne when we're full strength and you see everybody, all the pieces together.
I barely remember there was a Champagne tournament. Who else is going to be in Champagne besides you and the Comets?
And Thunder and Wichita. But it's not going to be about who we're playing. It's about
I was going to say, who are we supposed to judge you on?
It's not about who we're playing. It's about how we look. As a full unit.
I fully intended to go back. I know Dave Benny posted the 18 teams that turned in rosters. I never went back and looked at the at that list. I intended to. Did Wichita? Are they going to be there?
Yeah, Wichita submitted a roster. Yeah.
Who? Well, go ahead. We know kind of like the top 10 probably. Who's kind of filling out the tournament? Who dropped out?
So Fort Worth is combining with the Houston Hurricanes.
All right. So no Lone Star this year.
No Lone Star, no. And no team from Beaumont.
What were they? The Golden Triangle?
The Golden Triangle, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Heroin.
But you'll get the California team. You got Minnesota, Long Island will be there, Atlanta. BCS is coming back. I was more
wondering too, because I had a good idea of who the 19, 20 teams could be. So when it got down to 18, I wanted to go look and see who dropped out. But Lone Star and who was the other one we just said? Oh, the Golden Triangle, whatever. I guess I never counted on them being there. I thought it was realistic because it's local, and when we go to a new city, sometimes a team will get fired. A group will get fired up, start a team there. But I never had any information that made me think they really had a product on. They were doing as well as the West Coast Dogs did this year.
Texas still has 6 teams going, so they'll be well represented.
1/3 of the teams at the World Series will be from Texas, and we'll hear Texas teams complain about playing Texas teams at the World Series. All right, well, that's all I got, man. You guys got anything before we close out?
Nah, we've run a little bit long.
All right.
Thanks for having me again.
Oh, always. You sound so much like Lex at times.
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask. This goes back to before we started recording. He does sound kind of like Lex. Before we started
So Lex sounds
recording,
like
we
me.
had this conversation. Seth, every once in a while, did you not hear like the little shing? Like you don't hear any kind of noise on Demo's end that makes you think he's wearing jewelry?
I think that's the earbud sound with my beard and stuff. I think that's what you're hearing.
I don't know what it is.
And it might be me tapping strumming my fingers on my.
No, it's coming from because his mic has a different sound than yours, and it's different. And I hear it when he's talking. I don't.
Yeah, I don't hear it, but I have high frequency.
That's why I thought you were wearing some bling earlier.
No, I think it's the earbuds plus the beard scratchy sound.
On sound, just real quick on Andrea's stream, because I know people were telling her at times it sounded muffled. Have you gone back and listened to any of your streams?
No, but she was telling me that, and we were looking at some of the games right after, like that Saturday night, and she she didn't hear anything.
Listen, I was definitely hearing something. I don't think
it was the worst sound quality of all the 3 games.
Okay.
Well, but it was found, and it was nothing on Andrea. It had something to do with the microphone, because the microphones on all our phones or whatever are these condenser mics, and the sounds of the game were making her mic like change modes. In a way, I would think of it as like almost visually the difference between like landscape and portrait or whatever. How it gives you a different view. Like the mic's different sounds, like sometimes it literally sounded so crystal clear, like it sounded like Johnny Walker was sitting on her lap when he was pitching. It was so loud and clear. But then the bass would buzz, like a sound from the outfield would cause the mic to go into a different mode. And it wasn't clear when it would switch. It was like there's a washing machine or something going in the background. But it was nothing on Andrea. It was something with the microphone. The way if you listen to it, you'll hear it go back and forth. The ball would make it pop into one mode. The bass would make it pop into another mode. And I don't think there's anything she could do about that.
And I'm not. Go ahead. When we listened to it, I wasn't sure if it was background noise or her phone, but it sounded like we had old school film reel going.
Yeah, that's that tapping noise kind of thing I was hearing. Yeah. So I wanted to mention it just because I know people were mentioning it to Andrea during the streams, but it was nothing Andrea was doing. I doubt you guys even are touching the phone for the most part.
No. Maybe we'll stream from someone else's phone at the World Series in Champaign, but yeah.
I kind of like what the possibility was. If the sound when it went to that different like mode, like from the bass seemed to cause it to go into a different mode when the bass would buzz. And I thought that would be kind of cool if that background noise wasn't there with it, because you could kind of hear the field better. But then when the pitcher would talk, it would bring the focus back right up to like up there at home plate. And literally, it was so clear when Johnny Walker's like pitching. It does sound like Andrew's like right there next to him. The sound would be so clear, but then the bass would come on and everything would change. So it was weird. I don't know what the answer is, but I definitely didn't think it was anything Andrea was doing. It was something with the condenser mic. They're sensitive little things.
Yeah, I'll go back and listen to our games and check it out fully.
All right, folks, that is it. Congratulations to all the teams that made it through the tournament. Best of luck to Jared in his recovery. Same with Kyle Lewis recovering from his knee surgery, and whatever's going on with Eric Rodriguez. I guess I got the freedom to call him whenever I want, but I just let it ride. One of his teammates told me he's injured, and that's all I got. Nothing further.
We're speaking on injuries. John Patterson got hurt in the first inning of our game with the Titans yesterday. So best of wishes to him. I'm not sure if it was his Achilles or his calf, but
don't want Achilles. I mean,
he said,
was he screaming? If he was, that was his Achilles. If he wasn't, that was his calf.
We did not hear a scream, but I did hear he said it felt like somebody threw a rock at him. And when people say that, like somebody kicked me in the back of my leg and there's nobody behind me, that's usually like an Achilles. So
that's not a good feeling to have. That's not natural. So Doesn't he normally play with Long Island, or is he always with New Jersey?
No, he lives in Iowa, and he's been playing with the Titans when Iowa hasn't been coming.
I don't know why I always associate. Now that you mention that, I do remember he lives in Iowa. I don't know why I associate him with the Long Island Bombers. I've done that before on this show. Oh well. All right, that's it, folks. We will catch you all with the recap of the Bolingbrook tournament next week. Everybody be well. Till then, thank you, Demo, for joining us. Thank you, Frank Porter, as always, for doing your background work. And thank you, Set Dog. Everybody be well. Catch you next week.